everybody, it's me, Lisa, aka Wolf and Storm, coming at you live with a brand new video. And I know I said that I probably wasn't gonna have another video, at least for a little while, until we got some more information, after the 14th Doctor announcement. But we did get some information. We got a lot of information. Well, not a lot, but a lot of but from what we did get was very interesting. And the Twitterverse and the interwebs have just come alive with life. I have never seen the Doctor Who fandom this alive and this full of energy in years, since before the latest era. As a matter of fact, and I hate to say this because I really did like Capaldi very much. He was a great Doctor, but even in his later years, like this series 9 and 10, even the energy even then was starting to wane. Energy now is at its peak. This is like peak Doctor Who energiness right now. It almost feels like we've literally walked into a TARDIS and traveled back in time to 2008. And it's the best feeling ever. But before I go any further, a bit of housekeeping as always. Please help me keep on keeping on by hitting that like button, smashing that bell to get notifications when a new video drops. Like, share, subscribe, all that jazz to keep me going. And if you want to be able to see these videos drop before they do on YouTube, hit me up on my Patreon page. The link is in the description. If you become a member at whatever dollar amount that you choose, one of the best perks is either being able to see videos on the Patreon website before they drop on YouTube and getting your name shouted out on the videos so that everybody knows on the interwebs that you help support me. All right, so without further ado, drumroll please. So, the biggest surprise, the biggest shocker, the biggest holy shit, oh my god, of all David Tennant news, he is back as the 10th Doctor for the 60th anniversary special. I mean, I was like 90% certain that he probably would, because it's Russell. More than anything else, it's Russell. I mean, I am sure that when Russell announced he was taking over the show and doing the 60th, I have no doubt David was probably beating on his door going, hey, you got something for me. So, yes, but it's not just David Tennant who's coming back as the 10th Doctor. Surprise, surprise, we were also having Catherine Tate back as Donna. My girl Donna. I'm so happy. Not just Donna, but the entire Noble clan. We have Sylvia, Donna's mother, Sean Temple, Donna's husband. Holy of Holies, Bernard Cribbins is returning as Wilf, Donna's grandfather. We weren't sure if we were going to get him because, he is 93. He's advanced stage. He's not been in the best of health this past year. So we had no bones about the fact that he might not make it. But we were surprised, wonderfully surprised and overjoyed to see him in set photos. Yes, he was in a wheelchair, but still he was the same old chirpy self. So it'd be awesome to see those three musketeers together again. We also have a brand new character played by up-and-coming newcomer to the BBC, Yasmin Finney. I believe she's 18 years old. She's a trans actress, best known for a show in the UK called Heartstoppers. It's relatively new, and I think it's her first major television show, besides Doctor Who now, obviously. And I have not seen it myself, but I have heard very good things about it. I've heard it's tremendously good. I've heard she's tremendously good in it. I don't know if I'll be able to get around to watching it, what with work and all. I just don't have the time to do a lot of TV watching. But I have heard good things about her. I'm not going to comment about her being trans. I don't think that has anything to do with her casting. If I know Russell the way I do, and the way he does business, it doesn't matter to him what your background is, as long as you have the talent, you can play the role, and you're good at what you do, that's what matters. If you can take what's on that page and you can make it work and you can make it come to life and you can own that role, then you got it. I've never known Russell to employ people by ticking boxes. It's not his way. It's never has been his way. And he's never been one to cotton to directives and overlords. Besides, he doesn't really have to listen to the BBC anymore now that Sony's and Bad Wolf have completely taken over control of Doctor Who. So he has a lot of independence here when it comes to choosing who he wants to choose. And if you remember, in the casting announcements for Ncuti Gatwa, he said himself that they had another person in mind who they wanted to be the Doctor. Ncuti was the last person they saw, and he blew them away within seconds. He grabbed those TARDIS keys, and he owned that role from second one. So it had nothing to do with Ncuti being black or gay or whatever. It had everything to do with his talent and his ability to own that role. Just like I'm sure that's what it had to do with Yasmin Finney. She will be playing a character called Rose. And before the rest of you start going crazy, because, oh my God, if the BBC website hadn't already crashed because of this David Tennant news, and David and 10th Doctor and Donna news, it once again crashed when people found out the name of the new companion. Well, for this special, that her name was Rose. When they got the picture, people, without even reading the article, immediately assumed that she was Rose Tyler recast and gender bent, or not gender bent, race bent, without even reading the article to describe who she was playing. No, she's not playing Rose Tyler. No one could ever play Rose Tyler other than Billie Piper. Billie Piper is Rose Tyler, and she will always be Rose Tyler. I cannot imagine that Russell would ever replace her. Russell loves Rose Tyler. She's one of his favorite characters that he has ever thought up out of his brain. He thinks the world of Rose, and he thinks the world of Billie. He cherishes those characters that he made, because it brought Doctor Who back from nothing, and he would never do anything to hurt that, or to hurt them. I can't imagine people would ever believe that. It's just absolutely ridiculous. The character she's playing is called Rose, yes. Rose Temple Noble. And it's pretty much almost 100% certain that she is the daughter of Donna and Sean. What makes the most sense to me is that even though Donna's memories are gone, she might have had some residual left over that she couldn't really explain, but it was just something there. Maybe the name Rose just spoke to her for some reason that she couldn't really explain, and she decided to name her child Rose. There you go. That's pretty much it. There's really nothing else to say about it. I mean, that's the entire story. The bigger question is, how is he going to interact with her? Because we have on-set photos of them interacting in scenes that are being filmed. And as everybody knows, anyone who's seen Series 4 knows that in Stolen Earth and Journey's End, when the Metacrisis was formed, Donna got the Doctor's mind. And as a result, he had to erase all of the memories of them ever knowing each other, all their adventures, everything they ever did, everything she ever was. And that version of herself basically had to die. And she went back to being the regular Donna she was before they ever met. And he told Wilf and her mother that she could never know. Because if she did, if she was to remember any of it at all, if she was to even see his face for too long and a memory would spark, her mind would burn and she would die. So, that's the biggest question here. How is this possible? Is this a flashback? Is it a dream? An alternate universe? Is it the Metacrisis? Parallel Earth? We don't know. A lot of people are saying that because Sean is there and they have a daughter, that it must be the same Donna from the Universe Prime. Therefore, the same 10th Doctor. But based on what he's wearing, I don't know. I just don't know. Set photos we have so far shows that David's outfit as the 10th Doctor has been altered quite a bit. It's still the same brown, but it's not pinstripes anymore. It's tartan, blue tartan, up and down. It's the same blue color as the pinstripes, but it's not pinstripes. It's tartan now. He's wearing a crisp white Oxford shirt, which he didn't usually wear unless he was wearing the blue suit. Normally when he was wearing the brown pinstripe suit, he would wear a blue Oxford shirt. He's wearing a gray tie, a washed out gray tie that has a square bottom to it, kind of 80s style, and short compared to his regular darker tone colored ties, the browns and the purples with the swishy designs and things on them. And they came down to a point, and they were of the proper length. So this outfit is almost completely different than what he normally wears. It looks the same aesthetically, but it's very different. Oh, and the most different of all was the coat. The brown coat, nowhere in sight. Instead, he's wearing a blue coat. It's very reminiscent of Jack's greatcoat. Also, the Sonic is different. It looks like it has the same cream-colored base that the 10th Doctor's Sonic has, the same design of the base, but the top part is different. The images we have aren't that good. They're kind of grainy and from a distance, but the one or two that we do that are a little more up close, it looks like it has sort of tongs like this, kind of, and the jewel sits on top and it glows blue. We know that for sure when it's on. And I gotta say, compared to the dildo looking thing that Jodie uses as the 13th Doctor, that crystal looking horrendous thing, so much better. Oh my god, so much better. It feels to me like Doctor Who is finally getting back to its roots. No more this bullshit stuff that makes no sense. No more of this insane crap rewriting the entire history of the fucking show. It feels to me like Russell is finally going, and he's taking it back where it belongs. To its roots. To what works. What keeps fans watching, what keeps asses in seats, and what keeps ratings up. There's also been rumor that this version of the 10th Doctor is not the 10th Doctor that we know. That Jodie supposedly, the 13th Doctor, regenerates into him. Because if you remember, in the day of the Doctor, the 50th anniversary special, at the end when he met the curator, which was Tom Baker, with the face of the 4th Doctor, he said, in the future you will revisit some old favorites. People think that that's what's happening, that she's going to regenerate into the 10th Doctor, and then from there, once this adventure's over, the 10th Doctor will regenerate into Shutigawa. I don't know if I buy that. I feel like it would take away a lot from Shuti's parade, as it were. How is he supposed to stand on his own and be his own version of the Doctor when he's going to compete with David Tennant and come in from being David Tennant? I can't imagine how hard that was for Matt Smith to come in from David Tennant after 5 years. It had to be, terribly, terribly hard. Just like it was for Peter Davison to come in after Tom Baker. The stress alone, I can't even imagine. I feel like Russell wouldn't want to take away from that. He'd want Ncuti to be able to stand on his own and not have to worry about competing with, God tier level. So, I don't know if I buy the whole 13 regenerating into 10. I want to say, in my heart of hearts, I want to believe that it's the Metacrisis Doctor, and that his own personality has lent him to a different version of the outfit that 10 would wear. But if it is the Metacrisis Doctor, where's Rose? And I'm not talking about Yasmin Finney, I'm talking about the actual fucking Rose. Because I can't imagine the Metacrisis Doctor being there without Rose. They're a package deal. Come on. And if it was the Metacrisis, don't you think fans would want to know what happened with him and Rose? It's not going to be enough to have just some off-color comment. Oh, yeah, she's good. She's at home. Nah, they want to see her face. And I know for a fact that recently, after Russell divulged that he was taking over the show, that Billy, who had previously said she would not come back at all, that she was done, and just out of nowhere said, well, maybe, I think it's time. I think I could do it. I mean, she seemed to have fun doing the Rose Tyler Dimension Canon audios. She just finished the second one. So I think she's kind of easing herself back in, and she might just be ready to come back to do a cameo special. And this would be the perfect opportunity for her to do so. So, I don't know. Is it the meta crisis? Is it a flashback? I don't think it's a flashback, because I don't remember the fourth Doctor when he, the 10th Doctor when he was traveling with Donna in Series 4, ever dressing like that, ever. And it's obviously 15 years in the future. The daughter, the casting call for the daughter was a girl that was 14 to 15 years old. So this is obviously in the future. Well, present day for us, but future for him. So this is obviously Universe Prime, I believe. 15 years on from the last time that Donna saw him. So how he's able to interact with her, God only knows. Because he has to know that if he does, she'll die. So they have to, that's the number one question that needs to be answered. How is this possible? That's why I felt like maybe it's the meta crisis and they're on the parallel Earth. Because the parallel Earth, Donna might not have met him and wouldn't have had this issue. So there's still that chance. Alternate universe, I mean, yes, they've explored the idea of alternate universes now with the flux, but I don't see how that would work. The only reason that they were able to get to that point between universes was through Tech Human and the technology she had. And when she was killed, I mean, that was pretty much done. So, and the Doctor alone does not have the ability to travel between universes or parallel Earths, not since the Time Lords are gone. So I don't know. I know Russell likes to throw little things out here and there, and we'll probably get bits and pieces more. Not too much, because he did say he didn't want to overshadow Ncuti, and he doesn't want to overshadow Jodian's last episode, the Centenary Special. Not that it needs much to be overshadowed, but we'll get bits and pieces, trickles here and there. And then once the Centenary airs, we'll probably get a lot more. What I can say for sure is that in one of the shots, it looked like it was snowing and people were wearing heavy clothing. And some of the background pieces, like posters and things, had dates in December. So it leads me to believe this is taking place in the winter. Could this be a Christmas special for this year? Who knows? Who knows? A lot of the rumors say that it's supposed to be a 3 special run, leading up to next year's 60th anniversary special. Who knows? Who knows? I don't know. We'll see. I am more than certain that after the Centenary special airs, that we'll probably get a lot more information dumps. Because, as Russell had said, he'll trickle it out here and there, but he doesn't want to overshadow Miss Thing. He's trying to give her moment. I can't tell you for certain. The TARDIS prop was there, and it looks from the outside to be the Jodie version. Rumor has it that the inside console room is the 10th Doctor's version, which don't surprise me in the least. Because if this rumor somehow does turn out to be true, that the 13th regenerates back into the 10th, and he walks his ass into that TARDIS and see what she's fucking done in that console room with that dildo looking thing and the big dead spider with the crystals, he's gonna take one look at that and go, oh hell no. That's gonna change quick. Desktop theme, new. Immediately. So that's what we know so far. But I promise you I will give you more videos with further updates as they come. But now to the real reason that I have decided to do this video. It wasn't just to give you some David Tennant updates, but it was also this. Normally I try to keep this channel as centralized and focused on Doctor Who as I can, but occasionally I do publish some things on other shows when it's important to me. And this one is definitely important to me. I grew up with this show. Quantum Leap aired from 1989 to 1993. And for me, in the pantheon of sci-fi television shows, I know most people might not agree, but for me, this is god tier level sci-fi. It's not just sci-fi, it's family and drama, there's comedy, there's everything. Everything is incorporated into this show. And it would not be what it is without the amazing talent of Scott Bakula and Dean Stockwell, for sure. Without Sam and Al, there is no Quantum Leap. They are Quantum Leap. So, when Quantum Leap went off the air in 1993, it wasn't actually supposed to go off the air, at least not all told. When they filmed the season finale for season 5, they had originally filmed it in a way that it could be open-ended, that it could function as not only a season finale but also a series finale, because they weren't sure how it was going to go. The episode was already in the can just before they got the final word. And as soon as they finished filming, they got the final word from the network that the show was being canceled. So that is why they had that quickie, ridiculous looking end card at the very end saying that, after Sam went and told Al's wife Beth, please wait for him, don't leave him, keep hope, he's alive, he's coming home. That did work. He managed to save Al. And he and Beth never divorced. They were still married. They had 4 daughters. And then at the very end, the very last card, with incorrect spelling, mind you, Beckett has 2 T's, not 1. Dr. Sam Beckett never came home. This threw the fans into an uproar. Because after everything that Sam had been through, everything he had sacrificed, everything he lost, all he wanted was to go home. And I know in this last episode they were positing the idea that he was in control. That he had always been in control. That it wasn't God sending him around. He was doing it himself. And that if he wanted, he could go home like that. But he was the one that kept him going. And it did kind of make a sort of sense, because at the very end, that last leap, when he leaped back to Beth in 1969 in San Francisco, if he really believed that it was out of his control, how could he have lasered into her time and her place? Unless he wanted to be right there at that time. He said himself, there's something I gotta fix. I've done a lot of good things, but there's one thing that I didn't do. And I gotta fix it. I gotta save Al. And then as soon as he said it, he leaped, and he leaped right there. I think they had been positing this inevitability, this outcome, probably since season 3. In the leap home, when Sam leaped into himself as a 16-year-old teenager back in Elkridge, he was there to make sure that his basketball team won the basketball game, because it was supposed to change people's lives, make their lives better. But most of the episode, he was trying to keep his brother alive. His brother Tom had left not long after that basketball game to go to Vietnam, and he never came home. He died there. And it's something that irrevocably changed Sam's life. And I think a lot of the reason why he invented Quantum Leap in the first place, this time travel project, centered around that, around his own personal losses. The loss of his father to a heart attack, his loss of his brother in Vietnam, his sister marrying an abusive man. He always said you can't change the events in your own life. It's not allowed. But yet, he couldn't manage to convince his brother to stay. But he didn't want to stop. He kept trying. And at the very end, as he was about to leap out of the basketball game, he just yelled, "Tom!" with his hand stretched out like he was trying to grab onto Tom. And the next place that he leaped was 1971, Vietnam. In Tom's company, a member of Tom's unit, the day before he was meant to die. So I don't think people realized it then, but taking in context what happened in the last episode in season 5, it makes sense that there is some part of Sam that's able to control it if he knows exactly where he wants to go and when. He just could not accept it. Anyway, that was 30 plus years ago. The show went off the air in 93. Scott Bakula obviously moved on. Anybody that's watched NCIS obviously knows this. But Scott has always been asked, every time he goes to fan cons, is there any chance of it coming back? Or are they finally going to bring Sam home? Of all the shows, he has said, of all the shows that he's done, Quantum Leap is his favorite. It was his baby. Sam was the favorite character he's ever played. And Quantum Leap is the one show, his most favorite show he's ever done. And he's always been trying to bring it back. He feels like there's more story to tell. That Sam's story was not done. Unfortunately, the show has been tied up in rights issues for a couple decades now. As a result of divorce between Donald Belisario and his wife Deborah Pratt, who were both equal owners in the rights. Donald and Deborah created the show together when they were still married, and then not long after the show ended, they got divorced, and so the rights was split between them, and because they couldn't resolve their own personal issues, the rights kind of languished for many, many years. But now that they've finally managed to settle things between them, and resolve their problems, they've been able to finally, Donald has finally been able to do what he's always wanted to do. People have asked him too, of all the shows that you've done, Magnum PI, whatever, blah, 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 which one did you really want to bring back? And he's always said Quantum Leap, for sure. I mean, we've already seen that his shows can be rebooted successfully if handled properly. Magnum PI is fucking stellar. I'm shocked that they canceled it. It for sure wasn't canceled over ratings or lack of eyes watching. It was canceled over many issues between networks. Nothing more, nothing less. The show is stellar and has a huge fan base. So that should tell you right there that when handled properly, it can be done. I think if they could handle Quantum Leap properly, it could be done as well. So now they finally managed to hash out the rights problems, and they've decided to do a reboot/continuation sort of thing. Of course, I was all like, oh, awesome sauce. We can finally bring Sam home. No. Sam's not even in it. He's mentioned, I'm sure, because you can't have Ziggy without mentioning Sam. I mean, he created Ziggy, after all. But Scott himself, not in it. This is not for lack of Scott trying. Believe me, he did. He had been in negotiations with the network for months trying to get back in. I mean, how could you do Quantum Leap without Sam fucking Beckett? You know what they told him? Nah, that's okay. We're going in a different direction. We don't need you. We got something else in mind. I'm sorry. Huh? What? You have got to be kidding me. How are you going to have Quantum Leap 30 years on, the project gets reopened and restarted, and this is not about bringing Sam home. This is not about Sam himself. Especially now that Dean is gone. Sam is the only one left to ensure the show's legacy. What's worse is I know that this storyline, this pilot, whatever it is, has been approved by Don and Deborah. Don, who thinks of this show as his passion project, his baby, the favorite show he's ever done. The one show that means more to him than any others. And he's done quite a few. And he would allow this to happen? Are you fucking serious? So we got an information drop, some behind the scenes images of them filming the pilot, and we also got an article with a blurb about the plot of the show itself and some short descriptions of the main characters. Oh boy. Ironic that I should say that, right? Well, according to the blurb, this follows the project 30 years on. It was shut down at some point. And now the project has started back up under Herbert Magic Williams, played by Ernie Hudson. He's the only decent choice of the bunch at this point. If any of you have ever watched Quantum Leap at all, you will know that this is a direct tie-in to the original show. Herbert Magic Williams was the soldier that Sam leapt into in his brother's company in Vietnam. It was because he leapt into magic that he was able to save Tom's life. Now, people have always asked, what happens to the leapies, the people in the waiting room after they go back? Do they remember anything? Do they feel different? Are they confused? Because when they go back, parts of their life have been completely changed. And they're probably asking themselves, how the fuck did this happen? You know, total blanks in there. They're not sure what's going on. So this kind of, I think, might delve into some of the answers to those questions. Because it is obvious that Magic remembers some of it now that he's actually heading the project. He's kind of doing what Al used to do when he wasn't being the observer. He's ensuring that the government, he basically represents the government. When Congress wants to talk to them about the project and about funding, he's there to make sure that money keeps flowing. The main character is supposed to be Dr. Ben Prasad, but I think the actual name is Dr. Ben Sung or something like that. Sung. He's Korean, first generation American, a physicist, and also a man of faith, apparently. And he was doing some sort of research that involved Sam's project. I'm not sure what. He goes into the accelerator much the same way Sam did and leaps and finds himself back in 1989. Now remember, we're going off the lifetime of the leaper. Sam was born in the 50s, so he had 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. This guy, I think, is in his late 30s to early 40s, so it's probably going to go from 80s onward. He leaps in 1989 in San Francisco, just days before the great San Francisco earthquake. And what little we know, this pilot apparently, in the midst of this quake and trying not to die, the man that he's leapt into, his wife, is trying to figure out how to ask him for a divorce. Not knowing that her husband is not there right now, that it's somebody else who's leaped into him. Other characters are Jen, who is the communication specialist. She's filling the observer role. An Asian woman who is the head of security. Mason Park, who is, what's it called? Gender fluid, I guess. He's the AI specialist. I guess he's like the gushy who's in control of the computer. And then there's some other side characters. The woman playing Naomi, who's the wife of the man that Ben leapt into. And another mysterious woman, I think, named Janice, who Ben has been working with, that no one knows who she is or what she's been doing or why they're working together. The details are very small and rough at this point. All we know for sure is that he has leapt, and Jen, who is the communication specialist, is trying to figure out how he managed to leap and erase all traces of doing so. Even Sam couldn't do that. That's not possible. And obviously she's the observer as well. She's trying to help him. His memory is Swiss cheese, just like Sam's, blah, 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 blah. I have a sick, sinking suspicion that more tick boxes were checked. I swear to God, if they ruin this show for diversity, this will hurt me more than I think any other show that's been destroyed has hurt me, with the exception of maybe Doctor Who. Quantum Leap means the world to me. Is one of my favorite shows. Has been for over 30 years, since I was a kid. It was how I first came to be a fan of Scott Bakula, and is why I'm still a fan of his to this day. Sam and Dean were that show. They made it what it was. They gave it the pathos and the ethos and the drama and the friendship and the family and everything about it. If the two of them hadn't been able to click and make it work, the show would have failed, bar none, without question. It was centered around their relationship and their ability to work together to get the job done. And if they weren't able, if they didn't have that kind of chemistry on screen, it would have failed outright. And I guarantee you the same thing will happen here. If the actor who's playing Ben, the Leaper, and the actress who's playing Jen, the Observer, don't have the right chemistry. I'm not talking about romantic. I'm talking about just chemistry to trust each other. Because what he's going through, stuck there on his own, he needs someone that he can trust. If he doesn't have that in her, and the chemistry doesn't work, it will fail. There are so many instances in the show where if it wasn't for Al, Sam wouldn't have made it. His leaps would have failed, or he would have died. If they don't do this right, if they don't handle this correctly, it could be one of the worst reboot disasters imaginable. And I have seen some pretty shitty ones. But Quantum Leap is special. Especially now with Dean gone. To do this is to not even include Scott. It's a slap in the face. Not just to the fans, but to the show. To everything it stood for. Everything it was. It's a slap in the face to Scott himself. And all the blood, sweat, and tears he put into making it a success. He held that show on his back for 5 years. It was his entire life. For 5 years. And even though it was hard, and at the end he had to step away because he didn't have a lot of time for his family, he never forgot it. It's always been his favorite. And it's always meant the world to him. The show, the fans. You'd think after a show's been gone for 30 years, actors would want to move on and not talk about it for a while. Would anybody want to talk about something that freaking old? But no. He talks about it with just as much love now as he did when he was still on it 30 years ago. He battled hard for them to bring him back. And for them to just cast him aside like he's nothing. Like he's not important. Like his contribution to the show is meaningless. They've got something better in mind. They can do better than him. The person who this entire show was built around? No, you don't matter. We're moving on now. What the actual fuck? Like, I can't even grasp it in my mind that they would want to bring Quantum Leap back without the man who made Quantum Leap a reality. There would be no Quantum Leap. There would be no Ziggy without Sam. Well, Sam invented the computer, yes, but at the end of the day, it wasn't just Sam. It was Sam and Al together. That project was their passion. It was everything. It hurts my heart Because I know that if Dean was alive and he saw them just throw Scott to the curb like that, after everything that they put into the show, I just can't even imagine it. I just can't. It seems from what little we've heard of the show so far that more of the scenes are going to take place in the present at the project than they are involved in the leap itself. The leap was supposed to be all immersive. You only ever got scenes in the project itself very few times. And it was always directly as a result of something that was going on within the leap itself. And usually only if it was a real emergency. Most of the time, 95% of the time, the leap was completely immersive in that time frame. And you never saw what was going on back there. The only time that he went back there was the leap back, when him and Al switched. You saw Verbena Beeks in season 5 when Sam leapt into the woman who was raped and they needed her to testify in court. The one in season 5 where he leapt into a convicted killer who escaped from Quantum Leap and Al had to go find him. But it was very few and far between that you actually saw what was back there. Because the Lee Harvey Oswald thing, but that was contained to the waiting room because it was a big deal for Al to talk to him to get information. And then the episode when he was Dr. Ruth, but that I think was just for kicks to get Dr. Ruth in the episode. Point is, you didn't 95% of the time it was immersed in the leap, and that was where it was supposed to be. That's the point of the show. Put right what once went wrong. And hope that each time his next leap will be the leap home. That's the point. You stick to that, you handle it right, you'll be successful. You diverge from that, your show will fail. I can guarantee you, just because this show's 30 years old doesn't mean the fans are gone. Fans have been waiting for this for decades. Desperately waiting for a resolution. For some way to bring Sam home. They fucked this up? Oh. It's going to go down hard. Hard. No doubt. Well. Not much else to say. As I said, we don't know a whole lot. They're in the middle of filming the pilot. If it gets picked up, it likely will not be released until the fall. So, more information as it comes, I promise. This is something I felt like I had to say because the show means too much to me and a lot of other people for me to not say something. So, anyway, that's it for me. I will hit you guys back later when more information is forthcoming. All right. If you have any comments, tell me, what do you think about this reboot? Do you think it's going to be successful? Do you think they're doing the right thing? Or do you think it's going to be a dumpster fire mess? Let me know in the comment section. Please be kind to other people's opinions. We're not here to be rude. All opinions are valued as long as we're not trying to tear each other down. Cool? Cool.
Good night.